other stones like that one. Fishing weirs for catching fish in that river. Upstairs, across from where that big stairway was, and this was the kitchen. Presumably that box was up there on pulleys to keep mice and so forth out of the foodstuffs they would relish. And here we have our nice big killer fireplace for cooking. It's interesting that this is one of those things in man's culture anywhere that is so often seen and yet may not have been an idea communicated one to the other, but just spontaneously generated. Notice how this works. It's got teeth, but then it's got that little metal loop that comes down off the horizontal shaft to lock in one of the teeth. It amazes the modern woman to imagine how these folks were able to create magnificent meals with these facilities, but it's knowing how to use what you got. Understand what she said this was for, but since it's next to the kitchen, it might have been for dining, who knows. These interior walls are beam filled in with, I suppose, cement brick, or brick that's covered with cement. A large, impressive room. This implies it was an audience room, but the restoration was completed 4 years ago, so that's why it looks like it's absolutely new. Bathrooms, I think. Yep. What kind of sense of nostalgia or reverence for his antecedents these old towers of the old castle would have given the Duke of the new castle. I think this is a prison, but I'm not sure. If it is, it was a lucky guess. Yeah. Huh. Wow. Those things would do over time, hitting even these thick walls. Take a lot to knock them down. Interesting to see how heavily worn this is. Can you see from looking at my finger and the area next to it? Literally concaved. Theoretically, we can work our way around here and up some exterior steps to the top. One of the most frequently seen birds. This is a robotic lawnmower. Just give you a pan about. We came in there from the left side. Auditorium. So it was almost surrounded by water, but not quite. That may have just been a courtyard, according to the pictures. And as you can probably begin to gather from the smoke emerging from the right side, we are once again under attack. As a footnote, I would swear that I smelled marijuana at least twice as I approached and came up into this old portion. Steep steps, at least half of them, that those young men, I assume, had to climb up. What are these small ports that may have just held timbers for floors? Or over there provide direct access to the outside for air. Cannon mounted in there, but without much field of fire. Sense of the scope, size of this old castle's courtyard area. Probably where I'm standing were buildings. For fun, someone's put in some stocks. pretty Eastern Orthodox Catholic or Christian church. I don't have time to go into it, but the blue and the gold give it a really lovely look. We're now at the site of Rundales Palace, or however you say it, looking very much like Versailles. We'll cross this bridge and into the complex. Always hard to wrap my head around the amount of wealth that places like this imply. Are we talking about the equivalent of Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, or were there others that had even more wealth than these people? Certainly families like the Habsburgs did. It boggles my mind because I wonder, what do you gain from having all of this? Simply mine's bigger than yours? Hard to imagine that in the day this area we're walking through was as bland and as near ugly as it is now. These were probably carriage houses over on the left, but it's interesting, the Habsburg place in Vienna, how well developed it is as a living site, if you will, even though no one lives there. Looks like it was given a quick whitewash sometime in the past and then basically ignored. It'd be an unfair assessment given the history of this country and the fact that it's only had about 28 years to try and put things back together again. So we're inside, and again, you just get the sense of mass, large, plain columns of cement, mass. That's that central courtyard we looked at. Again, mass. Looking down another hallway that probably finishes off this whole view. The grand staircase. Probably more embellished with color than we're seeing now. You can imagine ladies in their finest and men in theirs, proud of themselves to even be here, excited about the people they'll encounter. A grand social event. We'll just roam through these rooms, getting a sense of them. Probably the study. Look at those ceilings. This is where the magnificence was in places like this, not on the outside. It was just the style in vogue at the time. They were probably pretty much the same. Probably one of the grand ballrooms. Can you just imagine the intrigue, the drama that played out in this incredible room? How people jockeyed for political and social position and advantage. How they preened themselves, wallowing in their own self-glory. While the owner of this place looked at them with varying degrees of respect. Now, whether this is painted or real stone, my guess is that it's painted wood somehow, or plaster. I wonder too if the decoration is somehow original and restored or simply new. But I like the color treatment. The blue and the black are dramatic, aren't they? Dramatic piece of carved furniture. Imagine the amount of time it took, not to mention expertise, to create that table. And its accompanying mirror. How grand we were. In a rather simple room getting us to this area.